While much of the world remains focused on the Gaza tragedy, here at the Munich Security Conference, the conversations center not on Gaza, but on Ukraine. 2 years after the war began, the West is beginning to show signs of battle fatigue and diminishing public support. We sat down with Vitali Klitschko, professional boxer turned mayor of Kiev, to talk about the prospects for the war and whether negotiations are around the corner. This is One on One. Thank you for making the time to speak with us.
Welcome.
So let's start with the reports about the death of Russian opposition figure Alexi Navalny. This is, of course, the latest in a series of deaths that have been allegedly linked to the Kremlin. What are your thoughts? What's your reaction?
Navalny was in opposition. He was tried to kill with poison. Navalny criticized Putin and tell about the Russian government as part of regime. He died or killed. Exactly the same story with another people who criticized Putin. Politkovskaya was killed. Boris Nemtsov was killed. It's a very dangerous way to be the part of opposition in Russia. You spend your life in prison or you will be killed. And that's why it's real face what happens in Russia. Everyone who have different view, different opinion as president of Russia will be killed.
It's been 2 years since the war began, but the West is beginning to show signs of battle fatigue. Has the West provided what Ukraine has needed?
2 years ago, right before the war was started, I was here in Munich Security Conference, and we talking about military support. We discuss about 5,000 helms, and our partners understand Ukraine need protection. We want to say thank you very much. Thank you for the help from our partners. It's very important because this biggest war after the Second World War, the front line, more than 1,000 kilometers, and it's huge tragedy for the country, for Ukraine. It's and not secret, it's destabilization, economic and political destabilization in one of the largest countries in Europe can destabilize whole region, and it's danger for whole world, and that's why it's very important to stop the war. Ukraine was always peaceful country, never ever was dangerous to anyone, and Russia. Everyone have to understand the reason of this war. Why this war happens? Just one reason. We Ukrainians want to be the part of European family, part of European world. And Putin told, I never accept that.
You have been critical of President Zelensky. In 2023, you accused him of monopolizing power and leaving the country unprepared for a Russian attack. Do you still feel that way?
If I see Ukraine move the wrong way, if I see Ukraine lose democratic values, is everyone in Ukraine to ask, what fighting we for? We see Ukraine as a democratic country, and to lose democratic values, it can be biggest mistake, it will be wrong way. Some people talk, right now is war, not the time to talk about that. It's not. We have to save press freedom, human rights, democratic values is very important, and that's why not to talk about that if we see the dangers. It's mean to be agree, and that's why it's advice to pay attention not make these mistakes, and because our main goal to be the part of democratic world. It's very important following democratic values and save democratic values what we have in Ukraine.
You've been critical not only of President Zelensky, but also the former leader of Ukraine's armed forces. Do you believe that the new commander will make a difference on the battlefield? And do you believe more leadership changes are needed?
General Zaluzhny, in opinion of every Ukrainian defender, he successfully defend our homeland, successfully, because we fighting against Russian successfully and defend our homeland already 2 years against one of the strongest army in the world, biggest army, Russian army. And to replace him where people see the leader, where people feel support, I guess it was mistake. But president have rights to replace any general. I hope it will be not dramatic mistake. It's very important not to make dramatic mistakes what bring the dangers for the country. And I'm not criticizing, I told the opinion what actually cheers millions of Ukrainians.
Morale in war is often more important than equipment. Watching the waning support in the West for the Ukraine war, and considering the turbulence in the top leadership of Ukraine's political and military, do you worry that young soldiers may be losing the willingness to fight?
It's not. We Ukrainians actually surprised the whole world. A lot of world experts give to us a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks. We actually defend more than almost 2 years our homeland, and will to win. The spirit of Ukrainian soldiers surprised whole world, and we have that. But to be honest, people tired from the war. Also soldier, they is human, and but it's very important to have endurance conditions in this war, and it's difficult because Russia have much more human resources, financial resources, and that's why I ask here in Munich Security Conference, in every connection, we ask about support. We need modern weapons. We need financial support, political support. Unity around Ukraine is the key for peace and freedom in Europe.
Now, you've also been critical of the decision to delay the 2024 elections. Should there be elections in the middle of war?
My personal opinion, any election during the war, any political competition inside the country, is the poison for the country. Can you imagine? Election is always populism, it's criticism and competition between the political forces. In critical situation, the election right now during the war can destroy the country from inside. And that's why my personal opinion, until the war will be stopped, no election. A lot of questions. How we count it? Right now it's not secret, almost 9 million Ukrainians as refugees outside of the country. Also, we have exactly around the same numbers of refugees inside the country. Right now, millions of soldiers with uniform in the front line. And to make election with equal opportunity to every political force is actually important. We have much more question than answer. And also election need a lot of financial resources. We need right now resources to defend our country.
How does this war end? Do you keep fighting until Russia is pushed out of Ukraine, or is it time to negotiate?
Russians make tricky game. Russians told, let's find solution. Let's find a compromise. Let's sit in a round table and make a decision. It's not a compromise and not solution to give up the part of our homeland. I guess when the last Russian soldier left Ukraine, is good time to make solution and find a compromise. But we have to fight and defend our independence, our territorial integrity, but in a way, Russians understand just power. They never pay attention to weak position. That's why we have to be strong. That's why we need support of our friends. Alone, I come from boxing. Just good example is everything is pretty strong. If things come together, it will be time stronger. That's why unity around Ukraine is the key for peace and freedom in our homeland. But we have to fight. We have to fight and have to be strong.
Now, the West has supported Ukraine in the war, but there will be a huge need post-war to rebuild Ukraine. What would you tell the West?
A lot of politicians think rebuild of Ukraine, Marshall Plan for Ukraine. Rebuild of Ukraine is not rebuild the buildings, roads, or bridges which destroyed. Rebuild of Ukraine, first of all, the clear rules. Rules and reforms. We need to make reforms. First of all, anti-corruption reform. We have to make court reform. We have to continue self-government reform, and many reforms we have to make. And yes, of course, and after that, rebuild Ukraine. It's very important. Never lose the trust from our partners. It's very important to be open and transparent, to make transparent system which actually is the same law have as our European democratic countries. And it's the first point. And after that, we have to build up our homeland, because east of Ukraine totally destroyed. Visiting the front line east of Ukraine, you can drive hour long and see destroyed villages, cities, no people there. And this war a lot of damages for our economy, for our infrastructure. Is big drama for millions of people.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.